Welcome back to Freedom Algo. So you can see here that we have a pretty serious range day. So I'm going to show you some of the scalps that you could have taken to get some good trades today. There's not a ton of trades just because of how slow the price action is. There's just not a lot of volume today. So it was just a really, really slow moving day. So you can see here there was an uptrend that was working as we were going here, and you can see that we had basically what was an overshoot. Earlier, I wasn't sure if it was going to play out as an overshoot, but that's what it did. So we had this uptrend, overshoot, came back and broke out the bottom side, and then we just went into a range and started going down. And we've never came back to make a new high, but that can happen sometimes if we have an overshoot. So after this spike down, we just went sideways. And if you were playing the range, there's a couple of trades here. So the first one is here. There's a first entry, second entry long. That's also a failed breakout at the bottom of the range. So that was a decent one. Again, it's not perfect because it is like lower than everything else. You could say that this downtrend has already played out because there's a new low here, but this could just be the second leg to a new low. So there's some reasons to like that one. It's far away from the EMA. Then we end up coming up and we actually get a second entry short with a really small signal bar. Now, this one was pretty decent. It was within but the problem is, at the time, you would have had your range drawn more like this. So it actually looks like it's breaking out, and most breakouts are going to fail, but it's not perfect. It is basically a triple test, but it does go a tick higher. If it didn't go that tick higher and just gave us a reversal type bar there, then I would have liked it a little bit more. It is low risk, though, so that's a good one. And then I drew a downtrend off of those two swings, which later confirms down here. Now, it does break down, it comes out of this, and turns into another little range. And I do have a giant range drawn on here that hasn't played out, and I drew it off of the close because that's a target of mine. Realistically, it's probably off of the lows, but I drew it off there just so that I could be monitoring the target that I have for the gap fill. And so anyway, as we came down, we broke out of the down channel, and then we came down, and basically you could look at this as a really large first entry, second entry long with a really bullish bar after this downtrend played out. So I do like that one. It's also, we have a range, so it's a failed breakout of the range. Really nice trade there. Then we come sideways, and eventually we come over to this one. Now, this is a more advanced trade. I did mark it red. It is basically a trap. And so what you have is you have this double bottom here. And so it's kind of a first entry pullback, second entry short. You don't have a lot of space to the lows. But what it also is down here you have a pullback first entry long, pullback second entry long failure. So it's a failed second entry long and it's a second entry short. And even though it's pretty close to the lows, we do have plenty of space. And there is a possible downtrend. We're below the 21 EMA consistently, so I do like that one too. Comes down, eventually reverses back to the trend line, and we tap it here, and at this point we get this trade, which is a first entry, second entry long failure. So that's just a failed second entry long. Pretty much looking to see if this downtrend is going to continue. It ends up only going a little bit and then reversing. I didn't love this one either because it was pretty close to the lows, and you're not necessarily sure if you're going to get a new low here. But anyway, the downtrend was in effect, but it breaks right here. And after it breaks, you get a first entry, second entry short that fails here, but I don't really like it. It's too sideways. But then it does come up, and you could look at this as a larger first entry, second entry short that fails. So I like to look at it like that because this was a little bit too sideways over here anyway. So I just saw that as a continuation pattern confirming the trend line. So you could, if you took that one was fine. You are still looking for a new high on that uptrend that never played out all the way. It ends up just going into a bigger range here. There is a trade here that you could have taken as, like, it's basically just a double top. So it's kind of like a lower high, but you could treat it as like the new high from this swing playing out, but it just gave you an equal high. Not perfect. If it made a new high and then reversed, I would have liked it a little bit more. But it is basically a new high and close outside on this uptrend and playing out from the other one. So a decent trade. Then there's just really nothing else until over here we start this downtrend. And it looks like we did finally make a new low on this down channel over here. So that just played out. And so what we have over here is just a down channel working. And right here, this one is more advanced, but it's a first entry, second entry long that fails. Basically, it's a failed second entry long a hidden failed second entry long. And at the time, I had my range drawn a little higher like this. So I was seeing this as a breakout pullback that continues. So I was kind of seeing this as like the breakout was succeeding, like a breakout pullback short, basically. So it kind of, if you took that one, it's fine, it's decent. But you don't have a ton of space to those lows. Then I moved the range down. Whoops, I moved it to these closes, that close right there. And then here you do have this trade, which is a little bit more advanced, and you would have had to sit sideways in this one. But there is a real first entry, second entry long that fails here. But you end up having to sit sideways in this. It does work if you took it. You just had to sit sideways through all this. The better trade is here, which is basically a lower high that is also a failed, it's a breakout pullback short. It's only a first entry short, but it is a breakout pullback, and it is a lower high after this move here. And it's just closing. It's the way that it closed right on the range lows there and then reversed. That's a pretty decent one. It's only a 7-tick bar, so not huge or anything. And then down here, this blue line was just the previous low, so that's already been achieved, so we can remove that. And we can see that the downtrend, I did draw a wider down channel after that one. It doesn't really look like it's in effect, though. I mean, I guess you could argue that it's higher, but this is just, to me, not looking super valid, this wider channel. These haven't really played out that well today, to be honest, so I don't really think that we need to worry too much about the down channel, but I do think that we're trying to fill this gap, and that's where I expect to see us go. So that's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot of trades today, so I'm just going to keep it short, and hopefully tomorrow there'll be more volume. So I'll see you then.